Alright YouTube, in this video I'm going to show you how to create voice API app. So what do I mean by that? So if you type anything over here, so in this case I have written this is voice application created using JavaScript. Now if I click on this button,
this is voice application created using JavaScript.
Now you can see it is reading the whole text area. Fine. Now if you want to change the voice, you can freely change it.
This is voice application created using JavaScript.
Again.
This is voice application created using JavaScript.
And
this is voice application created using JavaScript.
And if you wish to,
this is voice application created using JavaScript.
If you wish to change the speed, make it fast, click on submit.
This is voice application created using JavaScript.
You can make it slow.
This is voice application created using JavaScript.
And if you want to change the pitch,
this is voice application created using JavaScript.
If you want to reduce the pitch, you can do it.
This is voice application created using JavaScript.
Fine. Now,
this is voice application created using JavaScript.
We are going to see how to create it from scratch using HTML, CSS and JavaScript. Fine. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a folder. Let me show you. To follow along, I will leave the source code in the description. The very first thing, let's create a folder. So these are the steps which we are going to follow. Let's create a folder. New voice API. So let's open this in with our Visual Studio Code. Open folder, documents, desktop, select. It will take some time, but it will load. We need 3 files. We need minimum 2 files. Let me create those 2 files. The first one would be index.html and the second one would be script.js. Save script.js. And now if you see, we are going to use the bootstrap. So let me get into the W3 school bootstrap. So we will get the ready-made template. You just have to click it and click on the try now button. Just copy the whole thing. The reason for copying this is I just need the CDN for the JavaScript and jQuery. Now let's try to run this. Open the folder which we have created right now, or run it, and this is how it looks for now. And the quick note about the API which we are going to work is we are not going to use any third-party API, but we're just going to use the same API which is provided by Google Chrome. That's the highlight of this video. Fine. Now this is blank. Now let's try to edit the title with our channel name. Start with our channel name. Fine. And now I need a container, and I want the background color of the body to be dark, BG dark. This is how it looks. Fine. Now inside the container we are going to design this. The first one is h3 with class text center, and it is going to be voice API using JS, and I want all the content inside to be of color white. If I refresh, this is how it looks. So let's add a padding top of 5. 5 is the maximum limit to get some space. I think it is h1. Now we need the text area. To get this text area, we will use form group. This is a div which is going to surround text area. We don't need this. We are going to use a bootstrap class called form control. So the ID is going to be txtarea, text input. We are not going to use name. If I refresh, this is how it looks. So I want the container width to be small. So for that, what I'll do is I'll write internal script, internal style. You get the container and make the max width as 500 pixel. Let's refresh. Fine. Now let me zoom in. It is zoomed in, that's why it's looking 1 2 3 the same way. Control 0 1 2 3. Now let's work on this label again. Form group div, control B. Form group div with the label fast. Yeah, we don't need this. Actually, there should be there will come the ID. We'll leave it blank, and then we need a div with class btn batch, or just say batch, and then batch primary tab, and then it's for now let's add just one. I'm so sorry for the spelling, it is badge not batch. And now we just have to add class of float right so now let me make this, no, fine, that's okay. Now whatever is there inside, I want to make it text center. Then we need a range slider with input range. We don't need name. Rate input class form control. We just need to give minimum value of 0.5, max value of 2, and the step to jump 0.1, and the value is going to be neutral 1. Let's see how does it looks. You see, fine. Now you see we have to give this as an ID, a rate indicator. This is rate input and this is rate indicator. Whenever I change this value should get changed automatically with the help of JavaScript. That's what we are going to do. Just copy paste it once again. So this is for pitch. This is pitch indicator. And again this is pitch input. Refresh it, and now it should start with 0, and that's fine. And what is there? And we need a select tag. Again we need a form group. So this is for the common padding and margin. That's what select tag. We don't need name. We need the class form control. We'll populate the value using JavaScript. We need a label saying accent. And we need a submit button. With class btn primary, then btn block speak. Fine, you can see. If you want btn lg, you can add it. Btn lg. Refresh it. Fine. We are okay with the UI. Now let's work on the. We'll remove this. This clear. Now let's work on the actual script. We have to call this script at the bottom. actually script src equal to, since we are in the same folder, script.js. We just need to give the id speak button, and we have to give the id voice select input. Fine, everyone has the id. This is the first step. We have designed the HTML. Now get all HTML element in JavaScript. To get all element in JavaScript, we need the ID of each element. So let's get the ID of each element. And finally the button. We have 7 input fields, so document dot get element by id. This is id and it will return an element. So likewise we need 7. 2 3 4 5 6 7. Fine, just copy paste the id. Now the second thing is we are going to initialize the voice API. To initialize the voice API, what we have to do is we just have to call this window.speechSynthesis and store it into a variable called synth. And if you want to see the documentation, you are free to go. Let me open and show it for you. This is the official document. Fine. We have initialized the value. We don't need this. We have initialized the web speech API. The second thing is we need to get all the voice from this API. If you see, these are the voices. We need to get this. So to get it, what we have a function called getVoices. So let's get it, which we will get it from this synth and store it into a variable called all voices. And if you see, you will not get any voices, so you will get all the voices in this variable. So we are going to get it one by one with the help of for each. So here it is going to be the function voice, individual voice, and we will get it one by one. So once we get the value one by one, so let me console.log. So to view this voices, what we need to do is we have to do one thing, which is we have to create this inside a function. We'll call this get voices, and this function will be called with the help of onvoiceChanged. So we need to use the callback function on the synthesizer, speech synthesizer. The callback function here, it is going to be onvoiceschanged. Now let's get into the console. On the console, there are no values. Let me see. You have to call this function below, and we got all the voices. Now what we need to do is we need to populate these voices inside the select tag. We know the select tag input is this one, and we are going to create an element, document dot create element. The element name is going to be option, let's name the variable name as option, and this option will have a text content, and to get the text content we'll use the value which we receive from this getVoices, and this is the text content. Now let's populate this inside the select tag dot append child. Now let's check. The reason is it is not getting the select tag. Actually it is here, it is not able to get. We have two IDs, that's the reason. Save it. Now we should get, now it should be populated. Refresh it. Fine, if you see the data are populated. Now to make this complete ES6, what we do is equal to, fine, totally working. The next thing, use get all voices, send the name lang attribute. So we just need to create an attribute dot set attribute, which is data hyphen voice, which is going to be fine. Now we need to create an object, so let's create leave this over here. If you want we can comment it, initialize the API, populate the select tag, make note of this guy, we will use it in the future. Get all voice from API voice name. Fine, we have populated here and we have called it with the help of call it using callback function. Now what we are going to do is we are going to make this speak. To make this application speak, we need to create an object. So say this in a simple term, we need to create an object and we need to pass the input field value. Here the text input is going to have the text array is going to have the value. So before that, if it is not null, not equal to null, if it is not null, then we are going to say this with the voice we have selected. So the selected voice, we can get the selected voice using the, this is the input dot CLEC selected option 0 dot get attribute, and the attribute name is data hyphen voice, and this is the selected voice. We have selected the voice. Now we need to match with the API. So this is the total voice which we are getting, so that we get the same thing over here. If the selected voice is equal to the voice which we are receiving from the API, if both matches, then say this dot voice. Say it with voice. Pass the voice. Once everything is done, we have to wrap this into a function. Function speak it. So once I click on the button, this function should get executed, and this button should get executed. We have compared with the API voice and the selected voice. We have to set the rate and pitch. We'll do it in a minute, but first let me show you how it works. So we are going to make it speak. To make it speak, we have to get the synth. Make sure where the comparison ends. Dot speak, and we have to pass the speak this. Once everything is done, we have to add a event listener click to this speak button. Add event listener click function. Once I click on it, I want the speak it function to get work. Now let's try. Hello, speak. There's an error which says on line 30 it is selected options. Console. Hello.
Hello.
Now we can listen it
Hello.
with
Hello.
all the
Hello.
selected
Hello.
accents.
Hello. Hello.
Hello from voice API. Testing. These are the accents. Let me take to our accent India.
Hello from Voice API testing. Hello from Voice API testing.
Hello from Voice API testing.
Voice application.
Hello from Voice application testing.
So it is working. Now let's work on the fast. So to get this, we need to add an event listener. So here on the input, not add event listener, and if it is going to change, if it changes, what we need is we want the input field value VLUE to be displayed on the indicator, rate indicator. The same way, this is for pitch input, text content. Here the value is from the input field value, and here this is indicator, pitch indicator. Now if I try to change the pitch, the value should here change automatically, but it is not working. If it changes in the value, okay, here it is a rate indicator. Dot text content. Where is the text content here? It is blank. Let me see why. Spelling mistake. Value. Now if you see, it is jumping one by one. That is working. Now we need to add the rate and pitch to the speech. Say this dot rate equal to the value which we receive from the rate input dot value. So I'm not, this is the function, this is the property of the, I'm not this is a property of the API, like rate and pitch. I'm not doing it anything from myself. pass the input field value over here. Now let's test this. Let's copy this from here, some values, paste it, English.
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
Now
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
let me make this fast.
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object. The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
If you want to change the pitch,
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
if you want bass,
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object. The
let's
speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
this is Hindi now. Too fast.
The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.
Fine, our final output is ready. Now you can get the source code in the
The
description.
speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object. The speech synthesis read-only property of the window object returns a speech synthesis object.